What's up, beautiful people? Welcome to another video that I'm putting out today with my new fancy headset, listening to my own voice. Always get a trip with this, and I'm still learning how to speak apparently with these things on, so forgive me if I stumble over my words in a tragic and embarrassing way. Today's video is going to be a different type of video than I normally put out, which has been lately on astrology and deep esoteric stuff. Today is still going to have an esoteric theme, but it's going to have a little bit of science behind it as well, and it's going to try to combine the best of both worlds of spirituality, woo-woo-ness with up-to-date research and science on the health detriments, benefits, tangible, practical, all-around benefits, and possible implications of 5G when it comes to our spiritual nature. And what I'm going to do, try to attempt to do in this video, is explain the nature of why 5G is here, what it is doing to and for us, and what questions it brings up for us that are starting to appear in our everyday reality that we are going to need to make a choice and decision on. And so one major theme that's just been coming to me a lot is the fact that no longer do we have the privilege or the ability to just sit around and do nothing and hope everything's going to be okay because everyone out there has our best interests at hand, wants the absolute, objective best for us in terms of health, opportunity, wealth, fulfillment, happiness, safety. It used to be where we could just sit comfortably and kind of rely on the fact that this was a default, that we would be taken care of, or we had full freedom and opportunity to do and be whatever we wanted. And this is still the case, for sure. I'm not saying it's not. This isn't a video to say that we're slaves or anything like that to what we created or what the government's creating. But it is a video with the intention to have us, ask some questions about what's going on, specifically when it comes to 5G and some other things that are going on right now that I may talk about if they come up. But for your own personal inquiry, your own personal opportunity for freedom, and most importantly, the opportunity for freedom for our future generations. So, hope you enjoy this semi-spiritual, semi-scientific discussion or conversation on the nature of 5G. A little bit different from most videos. Again, this is more so a conversation with me to the world. And I don't really have too particular of agenda. I do have a list of things that I journaled out here that I want to speak about or feel the need to speak about. But other than that, it's really just a free flow of me discussing my thoughts and giving you guys the best of what goes on in this crazy dimension I have called my mind. So here we go. So before we get into the nature of spirituality behind 5G, I think it's important to understand exactly what it is from a scientific and real perspective. 5G is the evolution of our ability to have electromagnetic radiation emitting networks or signals that go off into the world that allow us to communicate with each other seamlessly through the air, wirelessly through the air. Okay, so pretty much all of the things in our environment that run off of a signal that is wireless, whether it be this headset, should not be plugged in, cell phones, Wi-Fi, TV monitors, TVs themselves, radios, all of these things run off this electromagnetic frequency or radiation that is emitted into the atmosphere, goes to a certain circuit or signal receiver, travels across the world, and hits the next area where it's supposed to be. So when I'm talking about EMFs or electromagnetic radiation, I'm talking about this system that humans have built in order to transmit these signals back and forth across the world, in order for us to communicate, in order for us to have the experience of being connected and being with one another all of the time. Now, one of the biggest things that comes up for me in this is, well, why are we doing this? Like, what is this obsession? I'm going with my hair the wrong way. What is this obsession we have of creating these networks in a way that allow us to have these seamless connections with other people around the world? Well, could it be, right? Because if you go into the deep esoteric literature, if you go into deep esoteric study, if you go into your own mind and heart and intuition, and if you listen to a lot of the quote-unquote spiritual gurus speak, what the common theme is, right, even in most religions, if you study them closely, is that we're all connected. That we actually, by the nature of our beingness, emit our own frequency, electromagnetic radiation, electromagnetic signal out into the world that actually will connect with other parts of the world, and specifically other peoples, other lands, other energies. If we take the viewpoint that everything is energy, the earth itself, all of matter, our cells, ourselves, our friends, our family, everything, this microphone, this headset, everything is energy vibrating at a different rate and potentially putting off a specific electromagnetic frequency, right? If we look at all this literature and we look at all these teachers and we look at all these studies that say that everything is energy, that we are emitting our own frequency, that we are all connected, well, why do we need the technology that offers that same benefit? And my proposition to you, the question I bring up to you is, could it be that humans, because of a deep, deep knowing or intuition or unconscious feeling of the fact that we are connected, yet because of the disconnect that exists right now between that unconscious knowing of the potential we have to connect on that deep of a level with ourselves and other people and connect with them, could it be that because of that disconnect, because of the knowingness that we have this capability and the knowingness of the fact that we are connected with everyone around us, but yet we can't sense that or perceive that or act on that, that we have now taken the steps to create a technology that replicates that? Poorly, might I say. And the reason that I say poorly is because humans are, it seems, constantly in an attempt to replicate the gifts and the benefits and the power of nature for our own good, for our own need, for our own selfish desires, and for our own health, albeit never creating the thing, the replica, as successfully as the original thing itself. I.e., we've created tanning beds that attempt to take the same wavelength of light and radiation that comes from the sun, take one particular wavelength of that sun, put it into a bed to allow us to change the color of our skin because we think it looks good. This is what I mean, and this is constantly happening, okay? Even in the health and wellness space, which I'm a huge fan of, I'm a part of it, I'm working in that industry currently. I'm consulting for wellness and leading edge technology centers, establishments that help people feel better and perform better from the inside out, from the cellular level on out. I'm not saying these technologies are bad. What I am saying is that they can be poor replicas of what nature has provided us herself. And 5G, interestingly, right, I believe is a symptom of us knowing that we are deeply connected with everyone and everything across the entire world and universe, yet not feeling that or consciously knowing that or consciously being able to access that because of the state of consciousness we're currently in, and therefore creating an artificial network that allows us to replicate that sensation to the world. Now, here's why this is important, okay? Again, because I'm seeing myself on the screen reverse, I keep trying to mess with my hair. Here's why this is important. Okay, two things. So, the nature of 5G. Okay, let's get into a little bit of the science on it here. So, the reason why it's going up right now, and the reason why it's been deemed safe, is because there's two types of radiation, of electromagnetic radiation that exists. There's what's called ionizing radiation and non-ionizing radiation. And ionizing radiation is the type of radiation that exists like in what we know as powerful types of physically disruptive radiation, such as the sun, UV light from the sun, or like even X-ray radiation, right? These things that are able to actually tangibly penetrate into physical objects and cause disruptions in chemical reactions, and actually so it disrupts chemical bonds. Non-ionizing radiation, right, is a much, shall I say, less intense, okay, type of wavelength, where you can think of, you know, the ionizing is like, right? Non-ionizing is much less intense in terms of its frequency, and therefore is not able to as significantly penetrate, and is not able to, by definition, disrupt chemical bonds. So because of this it's been deemed that non-ionizing radiation is safe. Okay. Now, what is non-ionizing radiation? Where does this exist? Well, this is the type of radiation that comes from cell phones, Wi-Fi, microwaves, TV, headsets, all those types of things, right? These are non-ionizing radiation. Now, the science on non-ionizing radiation is, interestingly, fairly inconclusive and fairly new. There's been studies that have shown that there's a higher likelihood of actually, for example, this one studied, cell phone use, people who used cell phones predominantly, and also studied rats who were exposed to high levels of non-ionizing radiation. And what they showed was, well, the male rats had a much higher rate of developing tumors but lived longer than non-ionizing radiation exposed rats. And humans potentially could have had a higher rate of developing brain and one other type of cancer, I forget right now. But both of these studies were inconclusive and or not a good source to rely on for the dangers or safety of non-ionizing radiation. And then there are other studies, again, that are inconclusive that claim there are no correlation for bad health effects and this type of radiation. Other studies that claim there are. All sorts of stuff out there. There's a lot of YouTube videos that go deep on the science of these things and go over the studies exactly. Just look up 5G dangers on YouTube. You'll find some good videos there. By the way, most of them claim that 5G is completely safe. So just take it with a grain of salt. They are trying to prove the fact that 5G is safe and that there's nothing to worry about. I am not trying to convince you either way, okay? I am coming at it from an objective viewpoint that's saying, this is what's going on in the world, this is what exists, this is maybe why it's happening, what to think about, and some possible consequences, possible benefits, and here's the information for you and a new perspective so you can make your own decision and to think about these things. And when you think about these things in a different way, you might actually change your actions to be a little bit better, a little bit more in alignment with who and what you really want and think you are, instead of staying unconscious and in inaction. Because the last thing I want, right, say 5G, you decide after watching this video or other videos that it's not a good thing, and you don't want your kids and your kids' kids and your kids' kids' kids exposed to these types of networks and ever-evolving networks of 6 and 7 and 8G, which increase in their power and frequency and radiation in the world, to be sitting around having not seen this video and let this all happen, and then we all end up in some health catastrophe, God forbid. Not that that's going to happen. Okay, so the reason I bring all this up is because I want to say it's inconclusive scientifically whether or not 5G causes tangible health problems. Now, what I will say is there are a significant amount, not just from conspiracy theorists, but a significant amount of anecdotal reports of people all around the world who experience disruptions from electromagnetic frequency, who claim to have their health disrupted from these technologies, these frequencies that are emitted. Most of them have been deemed crazy by society, but there are a lot of them, and it's to the point where people are taking action to actually burn these 5G towers down. What I'll say there is, again, we can't be in someone else's shoes, right? We can't judge whether or not what they're saying is the actual truth and what's happening. All we can see and experience is their experience, and try to decipher if this person is being honest and in their heart and sharing what's really happening or experiencing what they're experiencing, we could take that as with a grain of salt for our own knowledge. But this is happening across the globe. There have been, especially the EU, there's actually a proposal to I think it's a memorandum, or I'm not sure what the word is, but a group of scientists have gotten together and said, let's take a look at 5G and the potential health detriments before rolling it out. And it's this proposal to actually slow or stop the initiation of 5G before that gets out. And the reason is, a couple questions come to mind here, guys, that we have to consider. One of them being, okay, there's a new technology being rolled out across the globe, okay, that has not been deemed 100% certain safe for people for the short or long term. There have been no studies that with 100% certainty for the short or long term deem 5G is safe for our physiology. None. None that I could find. And I looked for several hours yesterday. I researched. I read the science. I get it. I get it that it's not fully considered unsafe, fully considered safe. I get it. And what I'm going to share with you is like what I've learned and also my experience in the biohacking, wellness, and spirituality learning space, right? But there's a new technology being rolled across the globe that we did not say could go out. When did I get asked the question as a citizen of this country, of a citizen of this world, as an inhabitant of this world, whether or not I think it's okay to have these 5G towers rolled out into the earth, into my city? Like it was an actual critical, essential thing that needs to go into the earth or into the city. Like it was so important, so essential that we didn't even get asked. Like, I can understand if people don't ask me if I want clean water supplied to my city or for the air to be cleaned or for new streets to be made. Like, that's totally cool, right? But when did it become so essential for these 5G faster internet speed towers to be up in our city and on our earth that we didn't get asked the question of whether or not we wanted it and whether or not we thought it was okay and we thought it was safe? So one of the biggest issues I have here that I just want to bring to the forefront for you guys is, when did this happen? When we stopped getting the opportunity to decide what is and is not okay for us to be in our environment, because that's a big deal to me. That's a big deal if I don't have a say whether or not a 5G tower goes up across the street from my apartment that can potentially cause disruptive health detriments that I never gave permission to. The other thing about 5G that's significant, right? Whereas 3G and 4G and 1G and all those other, right, it's a whole generation of Gs, because of the nature of the way they emit their radiation, there's less towers, right? Less physical, tangible towers up, because the signal tends to travel farther and it can go through walls and buildings and it doesn't have to be every single block. Whereas 5G, it's emitting a new type of radiation called millimeter wave technology. And what that means is, in terms of the radiation spectrum, it can't move through these physical barriers and obstacles as efficiently as the previous networks were, meaning that there needs to be a lot more of them throughout the city, throughout the world, throughout our streets, right? Meaning that there's a mandatory exposure to more people without their permission of these disruptive electromagnetic frequencies. So this pains me and this troubles me, and I'm going to tell you why it troubles me in a second, because I could understand it's been scientifically verified and proven this is harmonious, this is in line with nature. These signals that are being transmitted are definitely not harmful, and they're good for us, maybe even, or they're neutral at best. But this isn't the case. This is not the case. So now I'm going to talk about why I think this might be an issue, and where I personally stand on it, given my experience and my knowledge in the wellness, biohacking, spiritual industries, or worlds, I guess you can call them. So a lot of my studies have been on both consciousness, the nature of the human mind, elevating consciousness, elevating awareness, understanding how the world and the universe works from a metaphysical standpoint. My minor in college was philosophy, my major was political science, so I have this fascination with the systems of the world, how they work, and are they or are they not in alignment with, the optimum way that nature aligns itself, and nature is intended to work with the human race. So, all that being said, the other part of my study most recently has been on the opposite, which is the actual physical, tangible body, and our philosophy regarding the best ways to operate in the world itself, to treat our bodies, to treat the earth, to treat the human race, to treat women, to treat the feminine energy, and how we interact with that. And if you think of it, there's a split here in the human body. There's a duality, right? In the human mind, the human body, and the whole world. Consciousness, or the head, or mind, or the universe, or God, or spirit, this is all masculine principles. The feeling of oneness and of full awareness, and of elevating consciousness and spirituality and peace, and not having this disruption, but order, structured order and peace and masculine consciousness and awareness. These are masculine principles, and this is what has predominated in society for a long time. We've revered these principles and said, if we can just get higher, we can elevate ourselves, we can have more, we can find a peace and decide what is right from this logical place. We can have the best of everything, and this is right. Turns out that's not right. Turns out that's completely wrong. And if we go below this, if we go down into the body, right, into the heart, into the solar plexus, into the sacral, into the genitals, right, this is the feminine principle. This is the body itself. This is the soul. And the soul and the spirit are different. The soul and the spirit are polar opposites, right? Spirit, masculine, yang, positive, body, feminine, negative, polarization, charge. So all of this is connected to and comes from the earth. All of this is connected to and comes from spirit and God, right? Consciousness coming down into us. God, spirit, universe, body, this is earth, matter, physical matter, goes away and dissolves and dies back into the earth to be reincarnated or to be recycled. But this consciousness, spirit, never dies. Now, these two are equal, and they're married, and they're equally important, and they're vital for balance and for yin and yang to come into harmony. And this is, right, this ignorance of this whole lower part of our bodies, or this ignorance or this lack of reverence for, respect for this whole lower part, is a symptom of our lack of respect for the yin and the feminine, and the power and importance of that in life and in the world. Now, the reason I talk about this, is because what is 5G representative of? Is 5G a representative of, being in alignment with the earth and nature and harmonious electromagnetic frequencies that come from nature, and taking care of our bodies and revering our bodies and keeping our bodies in a perfect, not perfect, but low stress, calm, relaxed environment? No, it doesn't. It comes from here. It comes from, we must have faster, we must have more, we must have an expansive array of lightning fast technology that allows us to transmit these signals as efficiently as possible, because it makes sense to have more, faster, better, bigger things that will serve our needs for what we want to do to and upon this earth. And it completely ignores what the earth, our bodies, actually are, what they need, and what's in alignment with those things. And that's the sad part, because it goes deeper, and we're going to go a little bit scientific, a little bit esoteric here, but my background is studying the cells and the body, and studying wellness technology and the biohacking industry. And one thing that stood out to me in my studies is that all of us as humans, 300 trillion plus cells, an amazing heart. What we know now, that science has actually proven that we can measure, is that each one of these cells in our heart, our actual heart, and our bodies all emit its own custom electromagnetic field or frequency, an electromagnetic radiation that comes from nature. And the Earth does as well. And this resonancy has actually been measured. It's called the Schumann resonancy. It's at 7.83 hertz. And this is the actual frequency that scientists have measured that comes from the Earth, and it's been constant. This is the same frequency that resonates with very profound meditative beneficial states in the brain. If we play that same Schumann resonancy in terms of its frequency of sound into the brain, or expose our body to that frequency, magical, health-giving, life-giving things happen to our whole system. Now, the Earth is already emitting this. This is its protective electromagnetic frequency that it's giving to us and blanketing around us, trying to help us heal and ground and calm down and relax and de-stress and lower anxiety, lower cortisol, right? Get into parasympathetic, release serotonin, all these things. 5G is the opposite of that, okay? So these are man-made, disruptive, non-nature-made electromagnetic frequencies and fields coming from a technology that has nothing to do with the harmony and the frequency of Earth or our bodies, has no care about that, and simply goes, we must accomplish one thing. We must accomplish faster speeds. We must get this technology out to more and more people. We must provide access and connectedness to as many people as we possibly can, for the sake of efficiency, for the sake of logic, for the sake of growth and expansion, all these things. Not bad principles to live by when constrained by or held in check by the feminine principles of balance and harmony and nature. So this is the issue I have with it, is that these frequencies that are being emitted, although they have not documented any tangible, physical, scientific, conclusive evidence of being harmful or disruptive to the body, I want you to think anecdotally or intuitively, because this is something that, the perspective I'm bringing is not exactly, it's a little bit in the head, but I really want you to intuitively feel into this, right? And let's do a little thought experiment. Okay, let's imagine yourself in a room full of Wi-Fi routers. And across the street is a cell phone tower, and next to the cell phone tower is an electrical tower that provides power to the city. These things are directly across your apartment. You're sitting in your apartment with, let's say, 3 Wi-Fi routers because you want extra Wi-Fi. Sitting on your couch. Five stories up in your apartment building. There's other rooms all around you. All of them have Wi-Fi, probably. Think of your state. Feel into your state. How does it feel? Does it feel calm, relaxing, grounding, and peaceful? Or is there a background signal of stress, anxiety, worry, tension, jitteriness, needing to go and do stuff all the time and never stopping? Now imagine yourself out in the middle of a forest, beautiful forest. No Wi-Fi routers for miles and miles and miles, no cell phone towers, no electrical towers, just you and trees and nature and the earth. Take off your shoes, connect to the earth, breathe into that. Even from where I'm sitting right now, I can feel the difference. Just having that thought experiment. Now, how do you feel? So, part of the purpose of this video is, I'm not saying these things are bad, necessarily. I'm saying that if we continue to do these things without being consciously aware of what we're doing, without asking people whether or not they want this, without allowing them to express that need or desire to not be exposed to these 5G networking towers and future evolutions of it, where are we going? What are we going to be like as a species if we have completely lost our contact with the earth and Mother Nature? And by the way, yogis, esoteric people, they talk about grounding. What is grounding, right? Grounding is just being connected to the earth with your bare feet on, and maybe even the infrared light from the sunrise or sunset, and allowing the earth to actually heal your body. What happens is, we've proven you discharge excess, what's called positive ions in your body that result from or come from stress, EMF signals, radiation, bad food, harmful air, not good quality water, all these types of things, not being connected to the earth. The minute you connect to earth, right, all this stuff discharges. And you feel calm, you feel relaxed, you slip into parasympathetic, your sleep, your rest gets better, you feel back into your body, right? And this 5G is just representative of like going faster and more and never enough and expanding and just like dopamine going under. That's the other thing, is like, if you look at what 5G is a symptom of or a need of, it's a dopaminergic addiction. Dopaminergic addiction. And what do I mean by that? Well, what is 5G? What is the premise behind 5G? What is the main reason why, or what are the predominant reasons why 5G is there? So we can have more stuff faster. As if we don't have exposure to enough things fast enough. Social media, YouTube, pornography, Instagram, all these things. Like, we have fast enough access to it. Yet we need more? We need faster in more places? Why? Have we ever stopped to think why? That's dopamine. Dopamine's not a bad neurochemical. It gets you going, gets you moving, gets you motivated to do things. But sometimes you have to ask, why are you doing that thing? What are you really hoping to get? What is it going to lead towards? And is that thing that it's leading towards an actually good thing? So, there's lots more I could talk about. I've gone 32 minutes already. Don't know who's going to see this video. This is an open conversation. I would love to hear what you guys think in the comments about all this that I'm talking about. But just, again, feel into that. Become aware of what's actually happening with 5G, what's going on in the world, why it's happening, whether or not you're okay with that. Look at the studies behind it if you want. But it's time to make a decision. It's time to make a choice as to where you want to go, where you think people should go in this world, and where the world is going in general, and what direction we want to head. Because we, believe it or not, can create that. We can control that. We can go in that way. And 5G, from a spiritual perspective, might just be the thing that wakes us all the hell up. Because we keep going further and further down that dopaminergic addictive path of more and faster and better and more widely spread, and eventually we realize, holy shit, this is destroying us, and holy shit, yes, we have more and we have faster, but at the cost of what? And how are our bodies looking? How are our bodies feeling? How is the earth looking? How is the earth feeling? A good symptom of our health as a race, as a human species, is the symptoms of the earth. We're connected to the earth. We depend upon the earth for life. How is the earth doing? How is the earth feeling? Is the earth happy right now? Is the earth in love with us? Is the earth proud of us? Maybe, but maybe the earth is also in pain. Maybe the earth is telling us and showing us symptoms of being in pain, of being disrupted, of being depleted, right? All these things that we've taken for granted. That's us. The state of the earth is the state of us as a species, particularly the feminine part of us. And I think it's time to stop. I think it's time to become aware, stop with our insatiable appetite for more of the false masculine, of doing things for a specific agenda, for a specific reason that does not take into account the health and the ecosystem of the whole and nature and earth. And I think it's time to bring these things back up into awareness and to integrate the beauty of both. Yes, we can have technology. Technology is a beautiful thing and it helps many people. And 5G could potentially help spread connectedness to the entire world and provide access to, the globe of connectedness and information to more of the world, maybe. But is there a way we can have this connectedness while keeping the harmony and the health of the earth itself and of our own hearts and our own nature together with this type of power? So, I don't know. I think, subjectively, I think 5G is not a good thing for our health. I think it's going to be disruptive. I think it's going to be leading us towards a state or a way of being that we don't want to go further into. I think it's going to be making us even more hyper efficient, even more hyper productive, even more hyper dopaminergic, right? Dopaminergically addicted and dependent. I think it's going to lead us away from being connected with our bodies and the earth itself and what the earth is telling us and healing in nature. I think it's a bad thing. But I'm not here to tell you that. I'm here to raise this information so you can make your own decision and come to your own conclusions. Because, again, we are already emitting an electromagnetic frequency. These things exist in nature, from the earth, from ourselves, from our bodies, and these are all healing. Science has proven that if you expose yourself to these, what's called the Schumann resonancy or resonancies similar to it, you are healing particular parts of your body. And what would make sense to me is that if you expose your body to kind of, spectrums outside of these natural healing frequencies, is that they are in their own time and their own turn disruptive, problematic, and causing chaos to the system. It's no surprise or doubt to me that levels of anxiety, levels of stress, levels of depression, levels of panic attack disorder, levels of burnout, right? Illness, disease, brain fog, diabetes, autoimmune disorders, all these things are rampant, just rampant. These cells, your body, they depend upon being exposed to a harmonious frequency in order to operate properly. So keep that in mind. That's a major part of our environment and our health that I think people don't quite recognize yet. It's coming to the forefront. We know we need good food, good water, good air, right? But your environment and the frequencies that belong in your environment are equally as critical. And before I go, I'm going to plug a particular product that I'm not sponsored by, but I freaking love because it's made a tremendous difference in my life, and it's part of the reason why I'm making this video. It's called Blue Shield EMF Protector. I have the Blue Shield EMF plugin and the Blue Shield EMF portable device. And what this device actually does is it's a plug-in device that emits a frequency that is in alignment with nature, right? The Schumann resonancy, or something similar, but has been proven to be coming from nature. Into your environment, mine goes 45 meters in every direction, below me, above me, and every single side, that my body can then tune into. I think it's called sympathetic resonancy, something like that, where your body actually can tune into different frequencies. And because typically there's only Wi-Fi frequencies and EMFs being emitted, our bodies typically are tuned into that, and it's not a good one for us, and we're going all crazy, nervous system's going haywire. But this one, the minute I put it in, and that night when I went to sleep, I promise you, perhaps it's placebo, but I had the deepest fucking sleep that I've had in a long time. And after one night of sleeping with that thing, I went out and bought a portable one so I can both have one in my home and carry one around with me that goes about 9 feet in every direction. So people within 9 feet of my vicinity are feeling the beautiful, harmonious Schumann resonancy of electromagnetic radiation. So if you want to experience it, come within 9 feet of me. All right. So highly recommend that. That's one way to protect yourself from electromagnetic frequencies. But anyways, that being said, and there we go, disrupting my hair again. Because of these types of technologies that are coming up too, is 5G going to be the end of the earth? No. There's going to be technology we come up with that can mitigate the detrimental effects of that, ideally, hopefully. And that's what I feel is probably going to happen in the short to near term. But the good news is people become more aware. People are like, no, I don't want these fucking towers in my city, and I'm just bringing these to the forefront for you too, so you can see like, maybe this isn't the right way to go. Maybe we don't necessarily need this, or maybe we can use this, but we need to find a different way of bringing this accessibility, this connectedness to the world that's more connected and in alignment with the earth itself and our bodies and how our bodies work. And maybe there needs to be a better understanding, awareness of how our bodies work, and the fact that we are frequency, we are energy, we are connected already. We don't necessarily need this disruptive technology being put all over the globe and the earth that's potentially causing extremely detrimental health effects. Now, I'm so proud of myself because I got through this entire video without mentioning a single conspiracy theory. And I'm going to try and hold strong with that. But there are theories and anecdotal reports and things like that that relate COVID to 5G and flu outbreaks and pandemics with every initialization of new EMF radiation, artificial technology, the whole thing. But I will say this. Do I think 5G causes COVID? No. Do I think 5G can potentially disrupt someone's immune system and their cellular integrity to the point where it allows COVID to be a thing like it is? Yes, absolutely, 100%. If I had to say what I think is actually going on based on what I've researched and what I've read and what I feel to be true, 5G and 3G and 4G and all these cellular technologies absolutely do go in and cause cellular changes, cause the cells to act in a malfunctioning manner where they're not able to intake nutrients, intake water, and let go of waste products as efficiently. And it causes disruption of the integrity of the cellular membrane and the cellular voltage associated with that cellular membrane that is associated with normal functionality. So yes, 100%. And some people, some doctors have said, who are much smarter than I have, that when these particular frequencies come into the body, even though they don't cause tangible, physical, scientifically validated physical detriments or changes, that yes, the cellular metabolism changes, the cells act in a more stressed state, the cells act as if there's an invader in the body, the nervous system functionality changes, the metabolism changes, digestion changes, sleep changes, all these things happen, a slow, gradual process of destroying and depleting the body. Right? So, that's my point, is like, we're already strung out enough, we're already productive enough, we're already on the go enough, we don't need more of it. And to have more of it is to invite or ask for more burnout, stress, anxiety, depression, all these things, instead of slowing back down, coming back into the body, heart, mind, and the earth, and finding joy, finding peace, finding purpose, finding relaxation, finding your heart. 5G, is that a symptom of the heart or the head? It's the head. Do we need to be more logical in the head? No, we need to come down into the heart. I guarantee if you spend 5 to 10 minutes a day with your hands over your heart, breathing into your heart 5 seconds in, holding for 5 seconds, 5 seconds out, for 10 minutes, you will discover a state of peace and joy within yourself that you never believed existed. And you will discover slowly but surely what you're here on this earth to do and be. And you will gain access to your intuition, you will gain access to your guides, you will gain access to your spiritual journey, your blueprint, and it will all start to come together. But you have to get out of this rat race of going with what we think is the most efficient or logical from up here only, not connected to our hearts or our bodies. That's not going to work for us anymore. Yes, it got us out of the Stone Ages. Yes, it got us out of, being cavemen, you know, and it brought us to where we are. But if we continue to go at this rate and in this way, I promise you, everyone, it's not going to lead to us feeling happy or fulfilled as a society, as a collective. And it's going to be more disruptive and depletionary than it is fulfilling and restorative. So that's my rant on 5G and spirituality. I hope you enjoyed it. I do expect more videos like this to be coming out, where it's more free-form talk off of my thoughts and journaling off of spirituality on modern things going on in the world in a practical and potentially even scientific way. So if you enjoyed, please subscribe and look out for my next few videos. So until then, let me know what you think in the comments. If you loved it, feel free to give me a subscribe. There will be more videos and content coming out like this. Much love, much peace to all of you. Check out Blue Shield EMF blocker, and let this video sink in and resonate however it resonates, and then be the change that you would like to be or see in the world. Deep quote, and I'm out. Bye, guys.